What's up everybody, 1/10 of Illicit Error, Mr. SDS, coming to you with my first album review, Mac Miller, Watching Movies with Sound On. Before we start this review, let's just get into some quick information about Mac Miller, his background, and how he got up to this point. Mac Miller is a Pittsburgh MC who really shot to prominence, was one of the first of the internet rappers to blow up with such mixtapes such as Kids and Best Day Ever. He released his debut album, Blue Slide Park, in 2011, and while commercially it done really well, with one of the first albums to reach #1 since 1995, critically it was a bust. And my own personal opinion, I didn't like the album. Too many pop beats, Mac was just talking a load of nonsense, was just aiming for that radio stuff that he's just not meant for, because he's not a mainstream rapper right now. But then in 2011, he released his critically acclaimed mixtape, Macadelic, and we saw a shift in the style of Mac Miller. We saw a more introspective Mac, we saw a more personal Mac, and he was going over these psychedelic beats which a lot of people were really enjoying. But his fans were just asking one question: what are you going to do with this album? And to simply say this quickly, he follows suit with a really good album. But enough of that, let me just get straight into it. Alright, so let's talk about the intro track, The Star Room, produced by Mac Miller under his alias, Larry Fishman. Starts off with this distorted voice, very similar to the stuff that Tyler the Creator uses on Goblin and Bastard, two of my favourite albums. In this song, Mac's just talking about drug use, major labels, whether he should sign, being fatherless, and wondering if his father's ever going to pick up and phone him. You know, over this light, smooth production, I thought it was a really good start to the album. And if you've heard A$AP Rocky's Live, Love, A$AP, it really reminds you of that acid lean atmosphere that he tried to do on his mixtape. Alright, let's talk about one of the singles. SDS, produced by Flying Lotus, is one of my favourite songs. Flying Lotus provides this mesmeringly dense background with Mac Miller just flowing all over the track. Really, Mac Miller's not talking about anything really interesting in this track. He's just talking lyrics for lyrics' sake, but there were a couple catchy, smart lines that I did clock, like stuff like, "Oh, I wonder if Christ made $1 million off of selling the cross," and the hook is really catchy. It's one of the better songs on the album. Let's talk about the second single, Watching Movies, produced by Mac Miller under his alias, Larry Fishman. This one is a really good track. He starts talking about concepts which I misunderstood. When I heard the album title, I assumed it was talking about his hobby, which is watching movies on mute while making music. But for this song, he's really talking about us, the fans and the critics, watching his life on TV and how it plays out. If you listen to Kendrick Lamar's Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix with Jay-Z, the flow on there is kind of similar, and it was a really good track. So he's 2 out of 2 for singles. Alright, so we got the 2 singles and the intro out of the way, so let's just talk about some of my personal favourite songs on the album. So let's talk about Matches featuring Ab-Soul from TDE. Ab-Soul provides one of the best verses on the album. Him just talking about all the stuff he used to do about when he was younger, Mac Miller doing the same. Really reminiscent lyrics, with Ab-Soul striking me out saying stuff like he had sex when he was 10 years old. Also, Mac Miller doing the same thing, him just talking about all the weed he used to smoke, all the stuff like that. It's just a chilled out beat over them two just talking, and it was really dope. Alright, let's talk about another song I really enjoyed. I Am Who I Am, Killing Time, featuring Nicki Randa. This is possibly one of the best tracks on the album, and it's actually my favourite track on the album. In this one, Mac's talking about not only the stuff that he criticises himself for, but also what the critics criticise him for, about his music, how he presents it, and how he presents himself. It's a really nice beat, and the lyrics, this is where possibly he's at his best, with some sick lines such as misogynistic with a twisted mind, I'm intertwined, my trigger finger itching, all I kill is time. That was really good. Okay, so maybe I lied. When I said that the other one was my favourite, it wasn't true. This is my favourite. Red Dot Music featuring Action Bronson and Loaded Lux. With this beat, it wouldn't have gone out of place on the last Eminem and Royce the 5'9" EP, Welcome to Hell, Bad Meets Evil. This song is just so sick. Lyrically, them two are just going off against each other, bouncing lyrics off one another, really sick. Bass heavy beat, and at the end, Loaded Lux, the battle MC, comes out with a funny verse, just dissing everything about Mac Miller. It will have you in stitches. I've played this song over 1,000 times, and if you haven't got the album, at least go check out this song. Now, let's talk about the deepest song on the album, Remember. This is a song Mac's just talking about a friend he lost. I think he's one of his close friends. The beat is kind of similar to what they play in funerals. I think that's what he was going for intentionally. And Mac is just talking about his friend with lyrics like he wishes that his friend had a girl so that he got her pregnant. so that he can talk up his memory, because he doesn't want to have to only share the memories with himself. With this song, Mac doesn't concentrate on flow, he doesn't concentrate on lyrics, he doesn't even concentrate on being on time. This is really just a message to his dear friend, and I found it really touching. It's one of the more sincere efforts on the album. Now, let's talk about OK featuring Tyler the Creator, produced by Tyler the Creator. This is one of the bonus tracks, and this, artists, please take note. This is what a bonus track is, a reason for people to go buy it. This is a really good track actually. So sick, Mac just flowing like a fool, as is Tyler the Creator. Tyler's developed this new mentality where basically he just outshines anyone he comes into contact with. Him talking about taking head, getting his little sister to be the back of your head. It was just really funny. I found it hilarious, and I'm sure everyone will love it. It is a party pleaser. The beat is banging, typical Odd Future, and you will be replaying this one a lot. On the other hand, there are a lot of negatives, such as Mac's lyrical skills. They're just not up to scratch sometimes. We got lines such as "spit the sick shit" that allows my diaper to be brown, poo, and other lines such as "I hope you'll be a butt fuck, so it'll be a cum fest." These lines just aren't up to scratch, and shows that Mac at times has been really lazy lyrically, and that shows an inconsistency which a lot of people don't want to see. Another problem is that Mac seems to be imitating the success that's come with his friends. For those of us who know, he's become really close recently with TDE, Odd Future, Danny Brown, and he's clearly trying to imitate the success, because all those guys I just mentioned, they get a lot of buzz from the underground fans, and that's something you can tell Mac Miller really wants, because he's always been this mainstream guy that people just don't want to listen to. He's not always referenced as the most lyrical or the most creative, and that's something he's trying to change. So overall, I'm going to give my final review. It is a good album. Sometimes the plot and the concepts don't come together, but the production makes up for it, and Mac's got an infectious flow. I'm going to give this album a 7 out of 10. I thought it was really good. But tell me, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you want me to review next? Please comment, rate and subscribe. Mr. SDS, The Illicit Era, Mac Miller, watching movies with the sound off.